Chapter 11. Hong Kong. Chloe had finally fallen asleep after he had rubbed her back for half an hour, and Charlie tiptoed quietly up to his bedroom. He sat leaning against the foot of the bed, facing the floor-to-ceiling window with its panoramic view of Victoria Harbour, and dialed Astrid's private line in Singapore. It rang a few times, and just as Charlie began to think he was calling too late, a sleepy sound Astrid picked up. "Sorry, did I wake you up?" Charlie half whispered. "No, I was reading. Did you just get home?" "I've been in all night. I've been in all night, but I was putting out a few fires." "Isabel again?" Charlie sighed. "No, nothing to do with her this time. Chloe had been bugging me for weeks to let her watch this movie, and I stupidly allowed her and Delphine to see it tonight. The Fault in Our Stars. I don't know it. I thought it was for kids, but trust me, it's not. It's sort of like a modern day retelling of love story." "Oh no, young love, tragic ending? You have no idea." When I began to realize where it was headed, I tried turning the movie off, but the girls screamed bloody murder, so I let them keep watching. Chloe's obsessed with the guy in the film, this goofy blonde kid, but in the end, oh god. In the end, you had two weeping girls, sobbing uncontrollably. I think Delphine's traumatized for life. "Charlie, woo, she's 8 years old. What on earth were you thinking?" Astrid scolded. I know. I was lazy. I saw the DVD cover and read the first few lines on the back. It looked harmless. You might as well have put on A Clockwork Orange for them. I'm a bad father, Astrid. That's why I need you in my life. The girls need you. They need a good, sensible influence around. Ha! I don't think my mum would agree with that statement. They're going to love you, Astrid. I just know it. And they're going to love Cassian too. We're going to be the Asian Brady Bunch, minus a few kids. I can't wait, by the way. I have a really good meeting with Isabel's lawyers yesterday. They don't have any more objections, thank God. You know, in a strange way, the stunt Isabel put in Singapore has worked to our advantage. Her lawyers were so afraid that I'll try to get full custody of the girls that they withdrawn most of the demands and are willing to settle now. That's the best news I've heard all week, Astrid said, closing her eyes for a moment. Slowly but surely, she was beginning to see her life with Charlie come into focus. She pictured herself cuddled up next to him on the new bed in the beautiful new house in the Shek O, far from the crowds of Hong Kong or Singapore, bathed in moonlight and listening to the waves crashing against the rocks on the cliffs far below. She could picture Chloe and Delphine watching an age-appropriate movie in the meeting room with her new stepbrother Cassian, passing a big pint of gelato amongst themselves. Charlie's voice suddenly jarred out of her daydream. "Hey, I'm going to India tomorrow, visiting our new factories in Bangalore, and then I have to attend this charity polo match in Jodhpur, where we're sponsoring. Why don't you come for the weekend? This weekend, yeah, we can stay at the Umad Bhawan Palace. Have you ever been there? It's one of the most gorgeous palaces in the world, and the Taj Group now runs it as an exclusive hotel. Sivraj, the future Maharaja, is a good friend, and I'm sure we'll be treated like royalty," Charlie said. "Sounds tempting, but there's no way I can leave Singapore right now with Amma so sick. Isn't she feeling a bit better? And didn't you say that a million relatives are descended on Tysdale Park? They're not going to miss you for 2 to 3 days. It's precisely because so many relatives are in town that they'll need me. It's my duty to help entertain everyone. Sorry, I realize I've been extremely selfish. You're a total saint for your family. I just miss you so much. I miss you too. I can't believe it's been more than a month since we've seen each other. But between my grandmother and everything going on with Isabel and Michael and our lovely legal team, don't you think it's better for us to lay low, not to be seen together right now? Who's going to know we're in India? I'm flying to Mumbai. You can fly straight to Jodhpur, and we'll be totally secluded in the hotel. In fact, if things go according to my plan, we're not going to ever leave our room the entire weekend. If things go according to your plan, whatever do you mean, Mr. Grey?" Astrid teased. "I'm not going to tell you, but it will involve chocolate mousse, peacock feathers, and a good stopwatch." I do love a good stopwatch. "Come on, it'll be fun," Astrid muddled out. "Well, Michael's got Cassian this weekend, and I am supposed to represent my family at this royal wedding in Malaysia on Friday. I could maybe fly from KL after the big banquet. I'll have the plane ready waiting for you. Khalida, the bride, is a good friend. I know she'll cover for me. I could say I had no choice but to stay all weekend for the festivities. I was roped in, and I'm at the end of my rope. I need to see you," Charlie pleaded. "You're such a corrupter. Even back when we lived in London during our uni days, you've always made me do bad things." "That's because I always know deep down you want to be a bad girl," I admitted. "You want me to fly you to India, shower you with gemstones, and make love to you all weekend in a palace." "Well, since you put it that way." Chapter 12. Shanghai Airport, Singapore. As Nick pushed his luggage cart into the carnival Arrival hall of Terminal 3, he saw a familiar face holding up a sign that read Professor Nicholas Young, PhD. Most people at the airport would have figured the guy with the sign clad in faded yellow ACS tank tops, navy blue Adidas jogging pants, and flip flops as some surfer bum hired to be a substitute driver and not the heir to one of Singapore's biggest fortunes. What are you doing here? Nick said, hugging his best friend Colin Khoo. You haven't been back since 2010. I wasn't going to let you arrive without a proper greeting party, Colin said cheerily. Look at you, tan as ever, rocking that man button. What does your father think of this look? Colin grinned. He detests it. He says I look like an opium addict. And if this was 1970 and I arrived in Changi Airport, Lee Kuan Yew would personally come down to immigration, grab me by the ear, drag me to the nearest Indian barber shop and have me shaved. Botox. They took the glass elevators down to level B2 where Colin's car was parked. What are you driving these days? Is it a Porsche Cayenne? Nick asked as Colin helped him to load his luggage into the back of the SUV. No, this is a new 2006 Macan. It's not actually out yet until March, but they let me have this special test driver. Sweet, Nick said, opening the passenger door. There was a cashmere wrap on the seat. Oh, just throw it in the back. That's Minty. She freezes whenever she rides up front. She sends her love by the way that she's in Bhutan at her mother's resort doing a meditation retreat. Sounds nice. You do want to join her? Nah, you know how my brain works. I'm totally ADHD. Can't meditate for the life of me. My form of meditation these days is Muay Thai boxing, Colin said as he backed out of the parking spot at what felt like 60 miles per hour. Trying not to flinch, Nick said, so it sounds like Araminta's been feeling better. Getting there, Colin said haltingly. Glad to hear. Glad to hear that. I know things have been rough lately. Yeah, you know how it is. Depression comes in waves, and this miscarriage really putting her under for a while. She's trying to be good to herself, doing all those retreats. She's cut back on work. She's seeing a really great psychologist now, even though her parents aren't thrilled about that. Still, yeah, Minty's dad made her doctor sign this gigantic stack of NDAs, even though you know all psychologists are already bound by a confidential code. But Peter Lee needed assurance that the doctor would never admit that Minty is a client of his or that she would ever need something extreme for his therapy. Nick shook his head. It amazes me that there's still such a huge stigma about mental illness there. Stigma implies that something exists, but society is prejudiced against it. Yeah, everyone is in denial that it even exists. Well, that explains why you're not locked up, Nick deadpanned. Colin punched Nick playfully. It's so good to see you to be able to say this stuff out loud. Surely there are other people you can talk to. Nobody wants to hear that Colin Khoo and Araminta Lee have any kind of problems. We're too rich to have problems. We're the golden couple, right? You are the golden couple, and I've seen the pictures to prove it. Colin scoffed, remembering the infamous famous shoot to Singapore where he dressed like James Bond and Araminta was painted in gold from head to toe. Biggest mistake of my life was doing that photo shoot. I'm never going to live that down. You know, I was taking a piss at the bathroom at Paragon the other day when the guy at the next numerous son looked at me and said, Voila, I need that golden god. Nick burst out laughing. So did you give him a number? Fuck you, Colin replied. Strange enough, guess who's been a good friend to Minty lately? Kitty Pong. Kitty? Really? Yes, she was the one who connected Minnie to a psychologist. I think it's because Kitty's not a local. She doesn't have the same sort of baggage we have. And Araminta feels like she can speak frankly with her because she's completely removed from our tight little circle. She didn't go to Raffles, MGS or SCGS. And she's not a Churchill Club member. She hangs with those foreign billionaire crowd. It's only fitting that she's Mrs. Jack Bing now. Yeah, I feel a bit sorry for Bernard Tai. As much of an idiot as he used to be, he did become a good father, from what I hear, but he totally got burned by Kitty. I don't think he ever saw that Jack Bing thing coming. Hey, what ever happened to the daughter of his? Colette, hell if I know. After she had Rachel's poison, we made sure to steer clear of her. I want to press charges against her, you know. But Rachel wouldn't hear of it. Rachel sure is a forgiving person. That she is. And that's why I'm here. I'm under specific orders to come back and make peace with Amar. And is that what you want to do? Nick paused for a moment. I'm not sure, quite honestly. Part of him feels like this is happened a lifetime ago. Our daily lives are so removed from everything going on here. On one hand, I can't forget the way Rachel was treated and how my grandmother couldn't trust me. But on the other hand, her acceptance is kind of irrelevant now. Everything ends up seeming irrelevant in the face of loss, Colin said. as he sped into East Coast Parkway. So am I taking you straight to the house, or do you want to grab a bite first? You know what, it's so late, I probably would go straight to the house. I'm sure there's be food for us there. With the run in town, I think Jing's kitchen stuff must be churning out food non-stop. No problem. Tysero Park coming right up. I'm just going to visualize 100 sticks of satay awaiting me there. You know, not to push you in any way, but I like your grandmother. She's always been good to me. Remember how I ran away from home after my stepmother threatened to ship me off to boarding school in Tasmania, and your grandma let us hide in the treehouse at Tysero Park? Yeah, and every morning she would make the cook send a big basket full of good breakfast goods up to the tree Nick had it. That's what I mean. All my association with your grandma revolve around food. I never forget the chi chung fun and char siu bowls delivered on those bamboo trays, and the freshly baked roti prata. We were fresh like feasting like kings up there. When I finally got sent home, I wanted to find an excuse I could to run away to that little treehouse again. Our cook was nothing compared to yours. I remember you ran away from home so many times. Yep, my stepmother made my life so miserable. You only ran away once, if I remember correctly. Nick nodded as the memory came to fill in his mind, taking him back to when he was just 8 years old. They had been in the middle of a dinner, just the three of them, his father, mother, and him, eating in the breakfast room of the kitchen as they did when his parents weren't entertaining guests in the formal dining room. He would even remember what they ate that night. Baku tea. He had poured too much of the rich aromatic broth over his rice, making it too watery for his liking, but his mother insisted he finish his bowl before she would let him redo it. She was more irritable than usual. It seemed like both his parents had been so tense for days now. Someone came speeding up the driveway too fast. Instead of parking by the front porch like all the other guests would, the car kept going until it reached the back of the house, stopping just behind the garage. Nick looked out the window and saw Auntie Audrey, his parents' good friend, emerging from the Honda Prelude. He liked Auntie Audrey. She always made the most delicious nonya kueh. Was she bringing something yummy for dessert tonight? She came bursting through the back door, and Nick saw immediately Auntie Audrey's face was puffy and bruised, her lip bleeding, the sleeve from her brows was torn, and she looked totally dazed. Alamak, Audrey, what happened? His mother gasped as several maids came rushing into the room. Audrey ignored her, staring instead at his father. Philip, look at what my husband did to me. I wanted you to see what the monster did to me. His mother rushed to Auntie Audrey's side. Desmond did this? Oh, my dear, don't touch me, Audrey cried as she crumbled to the floor. His father stood up at the table. Nicky, upstairs, now. But Dad, now, his father shouted. Ling Jie rushed to Nick's side and steered him out of the dining room. What is happening? Is Auntie Audrey okay? Nick asked worriedly. Don't worry about her. Let's go to your room. I'll play dominoes with you, his nanny replied in her soothing Cantonese as she rushed him up the stairs. They sat there in his bedroom for 15 minutes. Ling Jie had laid out the dominoes, but he was too distracted by the sounds coming from downstairs. He could hear muffled shouts and a woman weeping. Was it his mum or Auntie Audrey? He ran out to the landing and overheard Auntie Audrey shouting, just because you are youngs, you think you can go around fucking anyone you want. He couldn't believe his ears. He had never heard an adult use the word F word like that. What did this mean? Nicky, come back into the room at once, Ling Jie yelled, pulling him back into the bedroom. She shut the door shutly and began rushing around, hardly shutting the jarless windows and turning on the aircon. Suddenly the familiar tock sound of an old taxi could be heard labouring at the steep driveway. Nick rushed to the veranda and leaned out as he could see that it was Uncle Desmond, Auntie Audrey's husband, stumbling out of the taxi. His father came outside and he could hear the both of them arguing in the dark. Uncle Desmond pleading, "She's lying, it's all lies, I'm telling you," while his father murmured something and then suddenly forcibly raised his voice. Not in my house. Not in my house. At some point he must have fallen asleep. He woke up not knowing what time it was when Ling Jie had left the room and the aircon had been turned off, but the jarless windows were still closed. It felt stiflingly hot. He cracked open the door carefully and saw across the hallway the line of light underneath the door to his parents' bedroom. Did he dare leave his room, or would they be shouting at each other again? He didn't want to hear them fighting. He knew he wasn't supposed to hear them. He was feeling thirsty, so he walked out to the landing where there was a refrigerator that was always stocked with ice and a jug of water. As he opened the fridge and stood in front of it, feeling the cool draft against his body, he heard sobs coming from his parents' bedroom, creeping over to their door. He could hear his mother suddenly scream, "Don't you dare, don't you dare. You'll see your name splashed over the front page tomorrow." "Lower your voice," his father shouted back angrily. "I'm going to ruin your precious name. I tell you what I've had to put up with all these years from your family. I'm going to run. I'll run with Nicky to America and you'll never see him again. I'll kill you if you take my son." Nicky could feel his heart pounding. He had never heard his parents this angry before. He rushed into his bedroom, stripped off his pajamas and threw a t-shirt and soccer shorts. He took out all the Ang Bao money he had saved in his little metal safe box, 790, and grabbed his silver flashlight, tucked it into his waistband in his shorts. He went out the door leading into the veranda where a large guava tree arched over the second floor. He grasped hold of one of the thick branches, swung into the tree trunks, and quickly shimmed down to the ground as he had done hundreds of times. Jumping into his 10-speed bicycle, he raced out of the garage and down Tudor Close. He could hear the Satans at his neighbour's house begin to bark, and it made him cycle in faster. He sped down the long slope of the Harlan Road until he reached Berrima Road. At the second house on the right, he stopped in front of the tall steel electric gate and looked around. The concrete fence had glass spikes at the top, but he wondered whether he could still climb it, holding on to the edges and propelling himself quickly enough that he wouldn't get caught. He was still out of breath from his escape. A Malay guard came out of the sentry box next to the gate, astonished to see a boy standing there at 2 in the morning. "What do you want, boy?" It was the night guard who didn't know him. "I need to see Colin. Can you tell him Nicky is here?" The guard looked a moment perplexed, but then he ran to his sentry box and got on the phone. A few minutes later, Nick could see lights come in the house, and the metal gate began to slide open with a quiet clang. As Nick walked down the driveway towards the house, the porch light came in and the front door opened. Colin's British grandmother, Winifred Khoo, who always reminded him of a plumper version of Margaret Thatcher, stood at the doorway in a quilted peach silk robe. "Nicholas Young, is everything all right?" He ran up to her and breathlessly blurted out, "My parents are fighting. They want to kill each other. My mother wants to take me away." Calm down. No one's going to take you away," Mrs. Khoo said soothingly, putting her arms around him. The tension had been bottled up all evening came out, and he began sobbing uncontrollably. Half an hour later, as he sat on a bar stool in the upstairs library enjoying a vanilla root beer flat with Colin, Philip and Eleanor Young arrived at the Khoo restaurant. He could hear their polite tones as they talked to Winifred Khoo in the drawing room downstairs. Naturally, our boy overreacted. I think his imagination got away with him. He could hear his mother laughing, speaking in the English accent of her that she put on whenever she talks to Westerners. "All the same, I think he should probably just spend the night here," Winifred Khoo said. Just then another car could be heard pulling up the front driveway. Colin turned on the television, which flicked a security camera screen that revealed a stately black Mercedes 600 Pullman limousine riding at the front door. A tall uniformed girl jumped out and opened the passenger door. "It's your Amma," Colin said excitedly as the boys rushed the banister to peek at what was going on downstairs. "See you." Entered the house with 2 Thai ladies maid trailing behind her, and Nick's nanny, Ling Jie, suddenly also appeared, clutching 3 big boxes of mooncakes. Nick figured that Ling Jie must have alerted his grandmother to what had happened at his house, even though she was now working for his parents. Their ultimate order was always to Su Yi. Su Yi, wearing a trademark tinted glasses, was dressed in a chic rose-coloured linen pantsuit with a ruffled high-necked blouse, looking as if she had just come from addressing the UN General Assembly. "I must apologise for inconveniencing you like this," he heard his grandmother say to Winifred Khoo in perfect English. Nick had no idea his grandmother could speak English so well. He saw his parents standing off to the side with stunned, chastened look at their face. Ling Jie handed Winifred the Charon stack of square tin boxes. "My goodness, the famous mooncakes from Tai Shau Park. This is much too generous of you," Winifred said. "Not at all. I'm so appreciative of you calling me. Now, where's Nicky?" his grandmother said. Nick and Colin ran back into the library, pretending they hadn't heard nothing until they were summoned downstairs by Colin's nanny. "Nicky, there you are," his grandmother said. She put her hand on her shoulder and said, "Now, say thank you to Mrs. Khoo." "Thanks, Mrs. Khoo. Good night, Colin," he said with a grin as his grandmother guided him out of the front door into the Mercedes. She climbed in after him, and Ling Jie also got in, sitting in the folding seat in the middle row of the stretch limousine with the Thai lady's maid. As the car door was about to shut, his father came rushing out. "Mummy, are you taking Nicky too?" "Wai my chap," Su Yi said sharply in Hokkien, turning away from her son as the guard shut the door firmly. As the car pulled up the Khoo residence, he asked his grandma in Canton, "Are we going to your house?" Yes, I'm taking you to Tysdell Park. How long can I stay there? So long as you want. Will Dad and Mom come to see me? Only if they can learn to behave themselves, the year replied. His grandmother reached her arm out, drawing him closer, and he remembered being surprised by the gesture, by the softness of her body as he leaned against her while the car rocked gently backward as he navigated down the dark leafy lanes. And now in a flash Nick found himself on the same dark lane again, more than 2 decades later, when with Colin at the wheel of the Porsche. As the car wound along Tysdell Avenue, Nick felt that he knew every curve and bump of the road, the sudden dip that put them eye level with the gnarled ancient tree trunks, the dense overhang of foliage that kept it cool even on the hottest days. He must have walked or cycled down this narrow lane 1,000 times as a kid. He realized for the first time that he was excited to be home again, and that the hurt he had felt over the past few years was fading. Without quite realizing he had already forgiven his grandmother, he pulled up to the familiar gates of Tysdell Park, and Colin briskly announced to the approaching guard, "I'm delivering Nicholas Young." The yellow turban Gurkha appeared in the front window of the car. At the both of them said, "I'm sorry, but we're not expecting any more visitors tonight. We're not visitors. This is Nicholas Young here. This is his grandmother's house," Colin insisted. Nick leaned towards the driver's seat, trying to get a better look at the guard. He didn't recognize the man. He must have started working for Tysdell Park after this office. "Hey, I don't think we've met before. I'm Nick. They expect him arrive at the house." The guard turned around and went back to the guardhouse for a moment. He turned with a brown paper logger, then flipped through the pages. Colin turned to Nick and snickered in glee. "Can you believe this? I'm sorry, but I don't see either of your names here, and we're under alert at the moment. I'm afraid I'm going to ask you to turn around." "Look, is Vikram here? Can you please call Vikram?" Nick asked, beginning to lose his patience. Vikram, who headed the guard unit for the past 2 decades, could quickly put an end to this absurdity. "Captain Gale is off duty now. He returns at 8 tomorrow morning. We'll call him or call whoever the on-duty supervisor is. That will be Sergeant Gurung," the guard said, setting out his walkie-talkie. He began talking in Nepali into the device, and a few minutes later an officer emerged from the darkness, having come from the main guardhouse up the top. Nick recognized him immediately. "Hey Joe, it's me, Nick. Will you tell your friend here to let us through?" The burly guard in the starched olive fatigue walked up to the passenger side window with a big sign. "Nick Young, it's so good to see you. What has it been, like 5 years now?" "I was back in 2010. That's why your compadre here doesn't know me." Sergeant Gurung leaned over the car window. "Listen, we are under specific orders. I don't quite know how to put this, but we're not allowed to let you enter." Thanks for listening.